Intelligence. Learning outcomes. Define intelligence. Explain how and why intelligence tests were developed. Explain why intelligence matters. Explain the three-level hierarchy of intelligence. Remember Christopher, the boy who could learn languages but not tic-tac-toe? Would you call him intelligent? It seems odd to say that someone is intelligent when he can't master a simple game, but it seems equally odd to say that someone is unintelligent when he can master 16 languages. In a world of Albert Einsteins and Homer Simpsons, we'd have no trouble distinguishing the geniuses from the dullards. But ours is a world of people like Christopher and people like us, people who are sometimes brilliant, usually competent, and occasionally dimmer than broccoli. Psychologists define intelligence as the ability to use one's mind to solve problems and learn from experience. For more than a century, psychologists have been asking, how can intelligence be measured? What exactly is intelligence? Where does intelligence come from? Why are some people more intelligent than others? As you will see, we now have good answers to all of these questions, but they did not come without controversy. How can intelligence be measured? Few things are more dangerous than a man with a mission. In the 1920s, the psychologist Henry Goddard administered intelligence tests to immigrants arriving at Ellis Island and concluded that the overwhelming majority of Jews, Hungarians, Italians, and Russians were feeble-minded. Goddard also used his tests to identify feeble-minded American families, who, he claimed, were largely responsible for the nation's social problems, and suggested that the government should segregate them in isolated colonies and take away from these people the power of procreation. Goddard, 1913, p. 107. The United States subsequently passed laws restricting the immigration of people from Southern and Eastern Europe, and the majority of U.S. states passed laws requiring the sterilization of mental defectives. Image with the following description, a scan of a resolution from the early 20th century. During the early 20th century, laws required the involuntary sterilization of people with low intelligence. These laws were widely supported, and the U.S. Supreme Court upheld their constitutionality. The resolution is titled, Means Proposed for Cutting Off the Supply of Human Defectives and Degenerates. The page is divided into two columns. The first is a table of contents containing 10 articles, as follows. Roman numeral 1. Life segregation. Roman numeral 2. Sterilization. Roman numeral 3. Restrictive marriage. Roman numeral 4. Eugenic education. Roman numeral 5. System of matings. Roman numeral 6. General environmental. Roman numeral 7. Polygamy. Roman numeral 8. Euthanasia. Roman numeral 9. Neo-Malthusian doctrine. Roman numeral 10. Laissez-faire. In the right-hand column, there is a paragraph, which reads as follows. Which of these remedies shall be applied? Shall one, two, several or all be made to operate? What are the limitations and possibilities of each remedy? Shall one class of the socially unfit be treated with one remedy and another with a different one? Shall the specifically selected remedy be applied to the class or to the individual? What are the principles and the limits of compromise between conservation and elimination in cases of individuals bearing a germplasm with a mixture of the determiners for both defective and starling traits? What are the criteria for the identification of individuals bearing defective germplasm? What can be hoped from the application of some definite elimination program? What practical difficulties stand in the way? How can they be overcome? From Goddard's day to our own, intelligence tests have been used to rationalize prejudice and discrimination on the basis of race, religion, and nationality. This is especially ironic because those tests were originally developed for the noblest of purposes, to help underprivileged children succeed in school. Toward the end of the 19th century, France instituted a sweeping set of social reforms that for the first time required all boys and girls between the ages of 6 and 13 to attend school. The problem was that not all children of the same age were equally prepared to learn. The psychologist Alfred Binet argued that the schools should use an objective method to determine the learning capabilities of each child. He and his student Theodore Simon created a series of tasks that included solving logic problems, remembering words, copying pictures, distinguishing edible and inedible foods, making rhymes, and answering questions such as, before deciding something important, what should you do? Image with the following description, a photo shows a 4-year-old Heidi Hankins with a stack of books. At 4 years old, Heidi Hankins became one of the youngest people ever admitted to Mensa, an organization for people with unusually high IQs. Heidi's IQ is 159, about the same as Albert Einstein's. Binet and Simon designed their test to measure a child's aptitude for learning, independent of the child's prior educational achievement. Moreover, they designed it to allow psychologists to estimate a student's mental level simply by computing the average test score of many students in different age groups, then finding the age group whose average test score best matched the test score of the particular student. For example, a 10-year-old child whose test score was about the same as the average test score of all 8-year-olds was said to have the mental level of an 8-year-old and thus to need remedial education. However, psychologists quickly realized that comparing mental age to chronological age works fairly well for kids but not for adults, because adults of different ages don't have remarkably different intellectual capacities. Ackerman, 2017. To solve this problem, psychologists began to measure intelligence by computing what is now known as the intelligence quotient, IQ, which is a statistic obtained by dividing an adult's test score by the average adult's test score and then multiplying the quotient by 100. An adult who scores the same as the average adult has an IQ of 100. The intelligence test. Most modern intelligence tests have their roots in the test that Binet and Simon developed more than a century ago. The most widely used modern intelligence tests are the Wechsler Adult Intelligence Scale, WAIS, and the Wechsler Intelligence Scale for Children, WISC, which are named after their originator, psychologist David Wechsler. Like Binet and Simon's original test, the WAIS and the WISC measure intelligence by asking people to answer questions and solve problems, to see similarities and differences between ideas and objects, to articulate the meaning of words, and so forth. Some sample problems from the WAIS are shown in Table 9.2. Table 9.2 The tests and core subtests of the Wechsler Adult Intelligence Scale 4. WAIS 4 Test. Core subtest. Questions and tasks. Verbal comprehension test. Vocabulary. The test taker is asked to tell the examiner what certain words mean. For example, chair, easy, hesitant, medium, and presumptuous, hard. Similarities. The test taker is asked what 19 pairs of words have in common. For example, in what way are an apple and a pear alike? In what way are a painting and a symphony alike? Information. The test taker is asked several general knowledge questions. These cover people, places, and events. For example, how many days are in a week? What is the capital of France? Name 3 oceans. Who wrote the Inferno? Perceptual reasoning test. Block design. The test taker is shown 2D patterns made up of red and white squares and triangles and is asked to reproduce these patterns using cubes with red and white faces. Matrix reasoning. Image with the following description. An illustration shows a 2x2 matrix with symbols to evaluate perceptual reasoning skills. The test taker is asked to add a missing element to a pattern so that it progresses logically. For example, which of the 4 symbols at the bottom goes in the empty cell of the table? Visual puzzles. The test taker is asked to complete visual puzzles like this one. Which 3 of these pictures go together to make this puzzle? Working memory test. Digit span. The test taker is asked to repeat a sequence of numbers. Sequences run from 2 to 9 numbers in length. In the second part of this test, the sequences must be repeated in reversed order. An easy example is to repeat 3-7-4. A harder one is 39174539. Arithmetic. The test taker is asked to solve arithmetic problems, progressing from easy to difficult ones. Processing speed test. Symbol search. The test taker is asked to indicate whether one of a pair of abstract symbols is contained in a list of abstract symbols. There are many of these lists, and the test taker does as many as he or she can in 2 minutes. Coding. The test taker is asked to write down the number that corresponds to a code for a given symbol, example a cross, a circle, and an upside-down T, and does as many as he or she can in 90 seconds. Decades of research show that a person's performance on tests like the WAIS predict an astonishing number of important life outcomes. Borg-Hans et al., 2016, Deary et al., 2008a, Deary et al., 2008b, Der et al., 2009, Leon et al., 2009, Richards et al., 2009, Rushton and Templer, 2009. For example, intelligence test scores are excellent predictors of income. One study comparing siblings who had significantly different IQs found that the less intelligent sibling earned roughly half of what the more intelligent sibling earned over the course of their lifetimes. Murray, 2002, see Figure 9.11. In part, this is because intelligent people are more patient, better at calculating risk, and better at predicting how other people will act and how they should respond. Burks et al., 2009. But the main reason that intelligent people earn much more money than their less intelligent counterparts, or siblings, is that they get more education. Deary et al., 2005, Nyborg and Jensen, 2001, and perform better in school. Roth et al., 2015. Image with the following description: a bar graph compares siblings' IQ with income. Figure 9.11 Income and intelligence among siblings. This graph shows the average annual salary of a person who has an IQ of 90 to 109, shown in pink, and of their siblings who have higher or lower IQs, shown in blue. In the graph, the vertical axis represents income in US dollars. The horizontal axis represents siblings with different IQ levels. The data values in the graph are as follows. Sibling with IQ less than 80. Average income, $23,600 US annually. Sibling with IQ between 80 and 89. Average income, $39,400 US annually. Sibling with IQ between 90 and 109. Average income, $52,700 US annually. Sibling with IQ between 110 and 119. Average